podcast where we put you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live in the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And folks, today we're going to talk about opportunity. Opportunity zones have been around for years now, and it's still confusing to a lot of people. We're going to try to help you out with that today. But before we start, let's introduce Vicky Etchemawa from the COZA Marketplace and the OpportunityZonesAuthority.com. Vicky, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm excellent. I'm always excellent, Ron. However, we're having windy weather here in Vegas, and it's driving me crazy because I can't breathe and I can't see. However, as you say, opportunity zones are one of our favorite things, and we have a guest that we've had on before, and he is doing incredibly exceptional things in the area of opportunity zones, so we need to get started and see what he has to say.
Sounds good. Let's introduce David Sillaman. He's the CEO of Eazy OZ. David, how are you doing today?
I am doing excellent, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Like Vicky said, we're doing a lot of podcasts, and we're into this whole opportunity zone thing, and we talked to you the other day about all the stuff that you're doing. We figured we'd have you on again as a podcast, so we thank you for taking time out and talking to our audience today, Dave. So before we get started with this, I mean, you've been on before, but maybe somebody didn't listen to the last podcast for whatever reason. Can we get a little bit of background on yourself?
Sure. So my name is Dave Sillaman. I'm the CEO of Eazy OZ, and we are a full-service opportunity zone agency working with fund development to zone asset identification and qualification, and also we do a lot of education and advocacy in the opportunity zone space. And we have been working in this sector literally since day one, and we have just been really trying to pioneer as much as we can and trying to provide that yellow brick road to Oz, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a lot of roads to that for sure. And as we mentioned at the top of the podcast, there's a lot of misinformation in the opportunity. Well, isn't that a crazy word to use these days? But there's a lot of people who don't understand the program from the start. It's been around for years now. And I know you've been involved in so many different aspects of this and education-wise, and I know you got a lot of websites up there. So maybe we can get into some of the things that you've been doing recently to help out the whole industry.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. And like you guys said, the Opportunity Zone program, it has been around now for 4 years, and we've got some new updated legislation that's been proposed, which is very exciting, if it passes, and it's going to have some big ramifications and some big positive updates to this program, which should continue to, give that some rocket fuel and some more explosion to what is already a phenomenally growing program. But one of the things that we've noticed, and I've noticed this because we've been doing a lot of education, our company has a club called the Opportunity Zone Club. And it literally is, I would say, probably the largest anything out there related to the conversation of opportunity zones. We've got over 5,500 members and growing. And we talk opportunity zones literally 5 nights a week. And one of the biggest things that we've noticed is the Grand Canyon size gap in proper education and resources related to opportunity zones. There still is a lot of what I would say not 100% accurate information that gets given. You get a lot of people that are out there and they talk opportunity zones and they're close, but they're not quite. And then you also get some of them that are just downright wrong and very scary. But we've learned that besides the level of misinformation, it's the lack of information. It's lack of resources and where do I go to? How do I get started? The program is very complex. We've got over 1,000 pages of guidance over the last 4 years, and it really has kind of been one of those programs that if you know or you know someone that really knows it, then you're probably taking advantage of it. But for what the intended purposes of the program was, which is really a mindset of creating a localized ownership mentality and utilization of this program, the resources to achieve and facilitate that bridge from, hey, it exists and I drove down the road and I saw a sign that said, this development's in an opportunity zone, to actually saying, what's an opportunity zone and how does it impact me and what can I do with it? right? That bridge and those resources really haven't been assimilated in such a capacity that someone can just easily do anything and everything. And so we sought out to really facilitate and to bridge that gap in two major ways. And this is all as a result of just getting so much feedback from individuals in the Opportunity Zone Club. And the first one was realizing that there was no true education program in existence that just any John, Jane Doe, any realtor, financial planner, any CPA, investment advisor, real estate developer, nothing that they could just go to and just teach me, right? Teach me opportunity zones, A to Z, and what I can do with it, and how the ins and outs work, and the compliance and the reporting and the steps to capital raise, and understanding, how to create the proper investment structures, and, how to tax stack the program, and what state programs and federal programs and all of that. There's nothing, period. So we said we needed to put something together, and we brought in and set out to put together a program called the Certified Opportunity Zone Advisor Program, COZA for short. And what it is it's a very intense 14-lesson course. There's a 250-question test at the end of it that an individual would go through, but they're going to learn building on a foundation of what this program is, and then how each layer, step by step, builds on top of it. And hopefully, that designation you can trust when you're talking to somebody about the subject of opportunity zones. And so that's what we set out to do.
Yeah, and the concept of the Opportunity Zone program is pretty simplistic in what it's supposed to do in terms of the communities that it's to help. But a lot of people go at it for the tax deferment aspect of it, which really is kind of like the cherry on the cake, because it's not really about the tax deferment. It's all of this other stuff. And if you don't understand the complexities of the simple Opportunity Zone program, you really at a loss and can't do anything. But what you're doing is great, because you're teaching people the true reason for the program and making experts out of them, so not only can they know what they're doing, but they can pass on that information to other people who will then understand it and take advantage of the program. So I believe the program is one of the greatest programs there is for investment.
Well, and I absolutely agree with you. I always jokingly say that I'm a passionate preacher of the gospel of opportunity zones. When and we've been fortunate with our team to bring on several of the key figures at the formerly federal officials that actually created the program. We've brought them onto our team to kind of help us build out these different resources and these bridges. But this is a program that, for the first time in our country's history, that's the amazing thing about it. Like, when you really understand what the program is and the true capability, it is, you almost can't even wrap your mind around it, because this is something where literally every agency came together in support of this program. That's never been done, rallied around, something at the federal level ever. And, with that then came not only, a program that, yes, investors with capital gains can take advantage of for the tax benefits, but it came about a program that had a lot of interagency support. And I'm not talking like rah-rah, sis-goomba cheerleading support, but yes, that happened. But I'm talking financial. Like, there's, 21 different agencies, 300 different grants that were allocated to the Opportunity Zone program. A lot of people don't even realize that. Then you look at
I didn't realize
state programs. Okay, and you look at each of the 50 states and the different state programs then that are also applicable to the Opportunity Zone program and that can be layered on top of this. When you look at what this program can do from a community revitalization, from a transference of wealth, from a community ownership standpoint, it's an infinite amount of possibilities. I mean, growth with this program could happen very, very quickly, where usually a growth, in one of these distressed areas may take decades. This is something that could come in and have an impact within, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and have significant positive impact.
Yeah, correct.
From a business standpoint, this is a program that really fundamentally should be being utilized at about a 50-50 ratio, 50% real estate focused in any capacity, right? Real estate in any capacity, but also then 50% job creation, which means business focused. That ratio is not anywhere near the 50-50 mark right now. It's more like 85-15. But when you understand what this program can do for a business, either, a new business, a startup, a business kind of young but, transitioning or moving into an opportunity zone, it could be a complete game changer when you talk about growth capital for that business. And what that looks like relative to venture capital or a business taking on a lot of debt to really get themselves going. So this is
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
One of the things that I really like about opportunity zones is the partnership capability of the program, where you can it like brings private and public money together and partners together, and you can partner with agencies like the veterans or with youth job programs, and like you said, you can build your business in an opportunity zone. It's like exponential, the kinds of partnerships that you can create to develop the program and expand it in the future down the line. It's just one of those, I don't know how to describe it, but it's one of my favorite programs. I love it.
Yeah, it's an absolute amazing program. I could talk for hours and hours and hours on how wonderful the program is, but it really is the biggest thing about this program. And I'll say, pardon the pun, the word opportunity, but this really truly is a quote blue sky opportunity for literally anybody to take advantage of this Opportunity Zone program, and that's the beauty in it.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk a little bit more about your COZA program, Dave. When you go through this program and you, I guess, graduate or whatever you want to call it, you're getting a certificate or something like that. Do you get any kind of credit from, let's say, from an accountant perspective or a real estate license or anything like that?
So, and that's a great question. So what you're talking about is the continuing education credits. And right now, the COZA program, which is brand new, just launched, it was basically launched right at the same time that the legislative announcement came out, literally the same day. So right now it is in approval right now for continuing education credits for realtors, for CPAs, and for CFPs. It's also currently wrapping up review to be a certificate program endorsed and recognized by Liberty University School of Business.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
And then the final intent is to ultimately get it to be a IRS certified program at the end of the day.
Oh, that would be a score.
Yeah.
Well, you would believe how much it's needed. It's so needed, especially in the real estate world. I was talking to a commercial guy last week, and he was talking about a parcel that he wanted to, sell, develop, whatever, and it was definitely not an opportunity zone. And he wanted it to be an opportunity zone. So he told me that what he's going to do is he's going to file the paperwork to make that designated opportunity zone parcel. And I was like, good luck with that. That's crazy. But he thought it was that easy. He thought this is a real estate agent thinking it's that easy. So
the thing is,
people don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And really, truly, up until recently, a lot of what I would call like, real estate professionals, things like that, they never really took the time to invest into learning the Opportunity Zone program because on the surface, it really didn't seem all that applicable to them. But as time kind of goes on in this program, you begin to realize that, wait a minute, like, for example, let's say I was a real estate agent, okay, and business is great, but I'm looking for another avenue to add or expand to my business. Let's say I go through the COZA program. I learn about opportunity zones. I learn about some of maybe the HUD programs, housing programs, things like that are applicable. I get really creative, and I start now looking at opportunity zones from a whole different lens of opportunity, right? And I, as a realtor, now understand, what I need to do to help make sure that it can get put together the right way so I can represent it the right way.
Right.
And that's residential, let alone commercial and everything else that we can kind of talk about.
Well, yeah, there's a whole market of commercial people moving into opportunity zones to grow their businesses, like you mentioned earlier. That's a book of business for commercial agents that could just skyrocket for them if they understood what it was all about.
Exactly. And with opportunity zones, with one of the pieces of the legislation, and it makes a lot of sense, right, which is basically the sunsetting of certain opportunity zones, allowing states to redesignate other opportunity zones to be new zones. When you think about when the program got started and what was the classification of an opportunity zone, technically everything that a state identified as being eligible, if you had 100 slices of pie that were eligible, only 25% were included in the map. So you really, you still have a 75%, set of quote, could be opportunity zones over time.
Right.
Well, that means then that now you've got consistency over time for, all right, as one market gets saturated, another market's going to open up as a new opportunity and coming in and being, again, that lead in that market. And, with this being out there and no formal education, no designation programs out there, no training for anybody out there on the program, this really is kind of a unique opportunity, again, for someone to kind of come in and learn it now and begin to kind of establish themselves as an authority figure. Hey, I know this program. You can trust me. I've tested on it.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And as it grows and develops down the road, being at the startup and learning it as you go is an advantage to anybody who's smart enough to see the potential. Instead of waiting until, down the road and then trying to figure it out, you're late to the party.
Yep.
Now, also on the COZA program, when somebody decides to enroll in this, are they taking these modules? Are they online, or is it a regular classroom, or how do people get access to the information?
Everything is done right online. The website for COZA is ozadvisor.com. ozadvisor.com. Right. They'll create a student profile. They'll register, create a student profile, and once they finish their profile, they've got access to start doing everything. It's all video. There's a very, very extensive workbook that we recommend they follow along with. There's testing after each video that they can do for practice tests. Once they've completed the videos, they can take the final exam, and hopefully they pass that, and then they're automatically added to the Certified Directory of Professionals, which is ozpros.org. So that's our directory of professionals that have gone through and have taken and have successfully passed. And so they'll be automatically listed as a new member on that directory and kind of run from there. And then we've got an affiliate program that they're welcome to join, and they can become an affiliate of our company, and that way, partner with us in what we do in the Opportunity Zone space. But that's our COZA program.
Well, the affiliate program is really interesting. When they become an affiliate of yours, is that only the OZA graduates become affiliates, or can anyone be an affiliate of your company?
We really only open it up to our COZA students because we know that anybody that they're going to refer back over at least is going to be pre-educated on the opportunity zones from the COZA advisor that referred. Right.
Okay. And when these guys finish the COZA program, do they do it at their own speed? Can they do multiple modules in one day?
Well, yeah, we've had students go through it in as little as a week. We've had students go through it in, a month.
Right.
So it really is 100% watch and learn and do this at your pace. But it's designed for anybody to be able to go through and successfully learn this program and walk out with the ability to become an affiliate, refer, and earn, but also to be able to go out there and market themselves as an expert on the subject of opportunity zones.
And what are the costs involved in doing this?
So right now, we're limiting our first class of students to 250 students, and we're approaching filling that. So that's $24.99. And then we've grandfathered those students in, so there's no membership or anything else like that. We're going to reevaluate the course, evaluate the student surveys that we've been sending out and getting filled back in, and kind of opening it up at that point once we've got the certification in hand from Liberty, and going to do some co-branding with Liberty University, ideally, and then open it up full-time to both their students through their School of Business, everybody else, and they're going to it's going to bump up then to $29.99, and then it's also going to have a $500 a year membership, and that's going to basically be CE, continuing education, related to COZA throughout the year. So we're going to be adding more modules for education, especially as the program continues to keep, growing and changing. And there's a lot of different interagency stuff that has impacts that go untalked about related to opportunity zones, like stuff with the SEC, Volcker, Community Reinvestment Act. I can kind of go on and on. All those things, kind of go untalked about, uneducated on. But they have a direct impact, though, on the utilization of the Opportunity Zone program. Like Volcker and the Community Reinvestment Act together, you understand that it opened the door for banks to get involved. Well, that's something you never hear talked about. So it's stuff like that that we do continuing education on.
Yeah, it kind of is focused towards, or people in their minds think it's focused mostly to the real estate industry, but really it covers a wide range. You've got financial people, bankers, various institutions that all overlap each other.
Absolutely. Economic development agencies, municipalities.
Exactly.
Literally anybody that is really serious about learning the Opportunity Zone program A to Z, the COZA course is for them. Whether they've got credentials behind their name already or some sort of licensed professional, or whether they're just a John Jane Doe that is saying, what can I do in my backyard? How can I take advantage of the Opportunity Zone program as it was intended? And they go on and learn about it. Whether someone takes the test and passes, or whether someone just, wants to get educated on the subject. It's a great resource for education.
And the fees are not that much.
No, not when you consider what other certifications are and what all you're getting, and considering the fact that your first referral, literally covers that plus. So, I mean, it's an easy way for someone to, like I said, start their own consulting business as a certified Opportunity Zone advisor.
Exactly. So tell us about what you're doing in terms of advocacy for the new legislation as well as the future of Opportunity Zones.
Well, kind of continuing on the route for saying, okay, you got education. So we said, all right, let's, build COZA. And we brought in, like I said, top people that helped create the program, basically helped, facilitate creating the COZA content. But then we said we needed to also create resources as well. And so we set out and we've got our OZ toolkit, and that can be found at oztoolkit.com. And that is a very in-depth toolkit for literally anybody doing anything in Opportunity Zones. So we've got an entire 30-plus ebook library. We've got white papers written by some of the top attorneys in the country on the subject of Opportunity Zones. We've got video education as well there. But also we've got databases, state databases related to Opportunity Zones, everything from demographics down to key contacts. We've got federal databases. We've put together the only federal database that actually consolidated, organized, and departmentalized across each agency all the different grant programs. So you got a searchable database for all the different federal grants. We put together an investor database, so family offices, institutions, endowment funds, all of that is segregated out between a searchable database. Put together a fund builder, so somebody that wants to set up a closed friends and family fund can do so very, very easily, 5 steps, a few minutes of their time, a couple clicks of a button. We've put together a tax helper because we realized that there was a need for tax help. So along with our tax helper, you actually get access to our enrolled agents. And then we also put together a safe harbor builder. So a tool to make building out safe harbor plans very, very easy. A couple clicks of a button, a few minutes, and boom, you got a nice safe harbor plan. So we wanted to make sure that all the resources for somebody to use or do anything in the opportunity zone space. So you got education and say, okay, I've learned it, now what, right? So you got the resources to help support that, now what? And then from an advocacy standpoint, a lot of what we do, answering the question specifically, advocacy, all right, which is the third olive branch for our company. We've got our club, and then we also have a platform called OZvoices.com. And that's where we do like different interviews. We pull together testimonies about the positiveness of what opportunity zones are doing and the impact that they're having. Also, we've got a team behind the scenes that works very diligently, and I'm not going to go into political names or anything else to that nature, but we have a team that works very diligently in that aspect. As a company, we're also partnered with the America First Policy Institute, their Center for Opportunity. And so we do a lot with them. We do on-site conferences. We do education. They'll bring people in. We do events. Like last year, we did a major opportunity zone event at Liberty University. We're doing another one again this year in August. So we'll have a bunch of political influencers there. Like the one that we did in Georgia, for example, we had State Representative Ed Stetzer that was there regarding Georgia and from the state position of opportunity zones. So. And that was because that was a very localized event, right? That was focused on Georgia. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff, and we don't get braggadocious about it. We don't really post about that kind of work, but it's important work for the healthiness of the entirety of the ecosystem.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, this is really great stuff, Dave. Can we go back to a couple of things that you talked about earlier that I find really interesting? One was you mentioned something about the grants involved in Opportunity Zone. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How are they accessed, or what are they particularly?
Well, there's a lot of different grants, a lot of different grants associated with the Opportunity Zone program. Like, for example, there are grants that are related to food through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. There's grants related to schooling in opportunity zones. There's grants related to development with the USDA. So there's all sorts of different interagency grants that are out there.
And you list these under the OZ toolkit, or at least you have that information, more information on that?
We do. We have an entire database. And it's segregated out by agency. So you click on an agency, and you can see all the grants that are associated with that agency. You can search by different, type of words, so development or like whatnot. So you got a searchable feature there. But yeah, we've got them all broken down, and then we've got the information on the grants, how to go about applying for them, the web links, the overview, the application information. Like there's distance, like I'll give you like an example, okay? So under the classification of education and workforce development, through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, there's a distance learning and telemedicine grant that has to do with opportunity zones. So special consideration points will be given to applicants that have at least one end user site physically located in an opportunity zone. So what does that mean? That means that this is something related to the medical field for medical practitioners that have an office located in an opportunity zone.
And that's what your list covers.
Right. That's what the database covers. Like there's a Families to Food Box program, and this has to do with the USDA as part of a response to the coronavirus food assistance program. Okay. USDA will also solicit additional contracts to ensure continued distribution of food boxes in opportunity zones. So they've got an opportunity zone focused aspect of it. There's an outreach and assistance for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and veteran farmers and ranchers. That's through the U.S. Department of Agriculture as an example.
Yeah,
funding applicants, specifically projects located, targeted in opportunity zones. So, and then just like as an example, look, there's $1 billion grant that's part of this legislation announcement.
Oh, that I didn't know. Interesting.
Right. So, that's just as another example. So, I can kind of go on and on. You've got Rural Housing Preservation Grant, for example. That's a USDA grant, encouraging applications for projects that will support rural areas with persistent poverty and in opportunity zones for low-income housing developments.
Yeah, I mean, that really covers the spectrum, and what a wealth of information. They don't have a grant for people who lost money at the crap table, though, do they?
No, unfortunately, not related to opportunity zones on that. But what I am getting at, though, is that what's not being taught and publicized and educated on out there is how 360 encompassing this program really is, and the different layers of resources that are available. And when you can layer those resources available, because number one, you're educated on them. Number two, you know where to go to find them, right? But when you can layer those on, at the end of the day, it only enhances whatever that opportunity zone project or asset is. If you can bring grant money in from the federal level, if you can bring state money in, state grants, state programs, if you can utilize local grants, local programs, right? If you can utilize all of that inside of an opportunity zone project, it only makes that project's returns for the investors investing money into the opportunity zone fund who are taking advantage of the tax benefits. It only sweetens their return, which means then that you can entice more investors.
Right.
So you would think that every opportunity zone out there would be looking at saying, what resources, how can I add on, what laddering can I do to sweeten the pot as much as I possibly can?
Right, because you're not restricted only to capital gains money in opportunity zone funds. You can stack it with all kinds of other money from various different sources, and that's the thing that people don't understand either.
From being stacked. Exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing prevents you from utilizing grants related to opportunity zone projects.
Right. And people don't understand this or even know that it exists.
Well, up until, I can honestly tell you, Vicki, and I've been around in this space literally since virtually day one on the private side. Like a baby, right? You don't feed baby food to a toddler forever. After they get their teeth and their adult teeth, they can move into adult food, right?
Right.
I think that there was just so much, girth that was unrealized related to this program. And I think that the megaphone for it was very one focused. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Instead of having a very, very wide focus on the girth of the program. And I think it's just until now. And we've looked around and realized, nobody has put together what I would call a proper toolkit for anybody to just go in and say, what do I want to do in opportunity zones? Do I need to set up a fund? Is it tax related? Is it compliance? What is it related? Is it grant related program? Blah, blah, blah. And have access to all of that right there at their fingertips. And put together the databases at one place and take the time to go through program by program and putting together and compiling a usable database
Yes.
There's tens of thousands of grants on grant.gov. And so, sourcing through and compiling and putting together time and effort. But up until now, it really hasn't existed. We said, let's go ahead and, like everything else, let's try to trailblaze a path, and let's put something together. And so we did.
Yeah. Well, David, I hope you stay in the private sector, because if you ever worked for the government, you, God forbid, may do something good, right?
Have no real intentions of doing anything at the government level.
Well, good. Listen, before we close this out, I have one more question for you, circling back to what you talked about earlier. You wouldn't believe how many times I get this question: how do I make a fund? How do I start a fund? And you mentioned something about a fund builder that you have. Yeah,
it's part of the OZ toolkit. So okay. Now this is a fund builder for just a closed, private, friends, family type opportunity zone fund, not a builder designed for somebody that's going to need a private placement and everything else to that nature to go out and solicit. But we've got a builder. It's 5 easy steps. It's all part of the toolkit. So there's nothing like extra that they've got to do or pay or anything else like that. It's all inclusive, but they can go about and build their own opportunity zone fund.
Excellent.
Wow.
Okay, that sounds great. And again, everything that we talked about today, I'm going to link in the show notes. So you gave me a little bit of homework to do here, because usually that's easy. There's only like 1 or 2 links. You got tons of stuff going on.
Well, what might make it easier? What if I just gave you like my website, davidsillaman.com, because they can link to everything from there.
Okay. All right, we'll do that then. We'll link in, and if they have any questions or they want to get in touch with you, that's a good site that people can go to as well then, right?
Absolutely.
Boy, I'll tell you, this has been some kind of podcast. The resources that you've created are just amazing, and you almost single-handedly are taking the charge on this whole opportunity zone marketplace. I really like what you're doing, and congratulations to you. You did a great job. But Vicki, do you have anything you want to talk about before we close this out?
Well, I just think it goes back to what we said initially, that there's a lot of people who think they know what they're talking about when it comes to opportunity zones, but they don't have a clue of the total world of opportunity zones. And David, you've done an outstanding job of bringing it all together, and as you said, having a resource for what you're looking for, going to one place, getting all the information, as well as the opportunity to educate yourself and become an expert in it and pass that education on, so that there's no confusion and there's no misinformation and bad information. Because, as I said, I think opportunity zones are one of the best programs that has been created from the government that actually helps people and helps communities and improves the life of people in these distressed areas. And what you've done, David, is just a phenomenal contribution to that. Kudos to you for doing an exceptional job that everybody needs to take advantage of what you have to offer, for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. It's been a labor of love over 4 years, and just being passionate. Our team I never have been with a better team in my entire life. I've never built a better team. Every one of our team members are just passionate about this program, and it shows in everything that they do and their efforts, branching out and tentacling out and kind of taking our company from what started out as very one-way focused and branching it out into 3 different lanes of focus and having to run that simultaneously and to grow. But, this program, the data just has shown, just this first quarter, we've seen a 16.3% increase in utilization of this program over the last quarter of last year, which is huge, right? So we're seeing more utilization of it, which means that, the resources and the proper education, because it just needs to get out there even more. I mean, I think we're scratching the surface of Antarctica with a toothpick. I mean, when you realize that there's trillions of dollars in unrealized capital gains that exist out there, you've got a lot of time associated in this program. Just as it stands right now, doesn't expire until 2047.
Right.
So we have a lot of time to grow, a lot of time for just massive nationwide impact, job creation, community revitalization, but none of that is going to happen unless more and more people know about it and are doing something about it and doing something with this program.
And have the correct information and the real knowledge about what the program is.
Yep.
Wow, I just did the math on my age and 2047. I think I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, this has been a great podcast, Dave. Thanks for taking the time out to talk to our audience, and you obviously are so busy. It's great. It's always great to have you on. So thank you again for that.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure, guys. Always a pleasure.
And Vicki, thank you for co-hosting this episode. Folks, you're listening to the Mappable USA podcast at mappableusa.com. If you go to that website, you scroll down, you'll see all our syndication sources. Pick the one you like best, subscribe, and you'll never miss another one of our episodes. If you want to be a guest on the show like Dave was today, there's a guest tab there. Fill that out. We'll see what you can do about getting you on the show. And if you like what you heard today, send us an email at info@mappableusa.com, or just leave a comment on whatever page you're listening to this on right now. So thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. We'll be at you next time with another Mappable USA podcast. Have a great week, everyone.